Hey there. You ready to dive into this whole AI materials thing? You sent over some research and we got to talking about it, especially this claim about AI discovering millions of new materials. Sounds kind of wild, right?
Yep.
Like, are we about to get self-healing phone screens? Spaceships fueled by banana peels?
It definitely caught my eye, too.
But, and there's always a but, especially in science. Before we start planning our AI-powered utopia, let's maybe unpack this claim a little. Turns out, some experts aren't so sure these discoveries are all they're cracked up to be.
Yeah, there's definitely some healthy skepticism out there.
And that's what we're diving into today. The heart of it is this critique, it's called Artificial Intelligence Driving Materials Discovery.
Hmm.
With the question mark and all.
Always a good sign when even the title is asking the tough questions.
Right. So it's published in Chemistry of Materials this past April. And it's a response to, you guessed it, that splashy Nature article from earlier this year where this whole AI material explosion idea kind of took off.
Right, that one got everyone talking.
Our skeptical Sherpas on this journey, the authors of the critique, are Anthony K. Cheatham and Ram Seshadri. And let me tell you, these guys are heavy hitters. Cheatham is a research professor at UC Santa Barbara, but hold on to your lab coats.
Right.
He's also a distinguished visiting professor at NUS Singapore.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was the Goldsmiths Chair of Material Science at Cambridge and had a super important position at the Royal Society. We're talking materials royalty here.
And we can't forget Ram Seshadri, distinguished professor at UC Santa Barbara too, holds a prestigious chair position, and get this, he's an executive editor for Chemistry of Materials.
So yeah, safe to say, these guys know a thing or two about this field. Okay, no pressure from these guys to get this right. Right. Back to the matter at hand. This Nature article claimed that AI had predicted a jaw-dropping 2.2 million potentially stable, never-before-seen inorganic compounds. It's like saying, hey, AI just handed us a cosmic cookbook, right? With recipes for materials that could revolutionize, well, everything. We're talking a tenfold increase in our material arsenal. Imagine the possibilities.
Yeah, it's a bold claim for sure. And to be fair, the potential impact is huge. New materials are the building blocks of, well, everything, really. Every technological advancement you can think of.
Absolutely. But Cheatham and Seshadri, they're urging a little caution here.
Yeah, they're pumping the brakes a bit on the hype train.
They really honed in on one distinction in particular, this difference between a compound and a material. Which, in all the excitement, it's easy to forget there's a difference.
Yeah, people get a little carried away sometimes.
So the AI, it seems to be really good at dreaming up these compounds. But are those actually useful materials? That's the question.
That's a big question.
Right. So let me see if I can explain this. A compound, that's just a combination of elements in a specific ratio.
Like a recipe.
Exactly. You've got your ingredients, you've got your measurements.
But a material, that's got to perform.
Exactly. It needs to have a proven function to actually do something useful in the real world.
It's one thing to have the recipe, it's another to make the dish.
Perfectly said. So it's like, we have this recipe for, say, a self-healing phone screen, but we haven't actually baked it, we haven't tasted it, and we definitely haven't tested if it can survive being dropped on the sidewalk.
And that's exactly where Cheatham and Seshadri really dig in. They're basically saying, show us the materials, not just the recipes.
They're basically calling for a reality check on these AI-generated recipes, right?
Exactly.
But they didn't just stop at, pointing out this compound versus material thing, did they?
No, they went a step further.
They actually rolled up their sleeves and went, ingredient shopping, so to speak.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so what'd they find? What's the gossip from the materials science kitchen?
All right, so get this one compound they call out. It's called ACERB83.
Okay, first of all,
All right.
even the name sounds like something out of, a science fiction potion book.
Totally.
Only a supercomputer could even dream up a word like that, let alone the actual structure it's supposed to represent.
It's a mouthful. But here's the thing. Cheatham and Seshadri, they point out that this supposedly brand new compound is actually better understood as just a variation on this well-known structure called the Lab 6 structure.
Okay, so the AI took a classic recipe, swapped out a couple ingredients, maybe added a pinch of something exotic sounding, and called it a brand new dish.
Exactly. It's like, is the AI really inventing new materials or just dressing up old ones in a slightly fancier formula?
Right. So it's all about marketing. Okay, what else did they find? What else is in this AI cookbook?
Well, there's this other compound that they highlight. It's listed as TBS-MF30.
Another mouthful.
Right. Now, the AI claims that this thing contains F2 molecules.
Okay. And this is where our skeptical scientists raise an eyebrow, right?
Big time.
Why? What's wrong with a little F2?
Well, think of it this way. Fluorine, it, it's notoriously reactive. Like, imagine trying to make a cake with a stick of dynamite as an ingredient.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. It's not going to end well. Under normal circumstances, fluorine just wouldn't hang out as F2. It just doesn't make chemical sense.
So the AI is basically proposing recipes that would, like, explode in the lab?
Metaphorically speaking, yeah. It's like it suggests this fundamental misunderstanding of really basic chemical principles. It's like trying to, I don't know, build a house without considering gravity.
Right. Not exactly a recipe for success. Okay, so we've got potentially overhyped variations on known compounds. We've got chemically questionable combinations. Anything else?
Oh, yeah, plenty more where that came from. They also noticed this recurring theme with a lot of these AI-generated recipes. They tend towards this unrealistic level of order.
Okay, explain that one.
Okay, let's think back to your cake analogy.
Okay, I'm with you.
So when you mix up your cake batter,
Right.
do the ingredients stay perfectly separated?
No way. Everything gets all mixed together, right?
Exactly. Things naturally tend towards a state of disorder. We call that entropy.
Right.
But the AI seems to be proposing all these incredibly ordered structures that, like, just wouldn't hold up in the real world. It's like the AI is trying to design a cake where the flour, the sugar, the eggs, they all remain in these perfectly separated layers.
So the AI is a little bit of a control freak, you're saying?
A little bit, yeah. And this whole obsession with order, it kind of ties into another issue that Cheatham and Seshadri uncovered, which is this space group problem.
Okay, you're going to have to break that one down for me. What is a space group?
Okay, so think of space groups as like architectural styles for crystal structures. They categorize how atoms arrange themselves in repeating patterns.
Gotcha, I got it.
So you've got like your Gothic cathedrals and your modern skyscrapers and everything in between.
So what's the AI doing? Designing some wild crystal architecture.
Well, here's the thing. Cheatham and Seshadri, they compared the space groups favored by the AI to this huge database of known, like, real-world structures called the ICSD. And the results are interesting. The AI predicted way, way more structures in these rare, almost like unheard of space groups than actually exist in the ICSD. It's like the AI is designing buildings that look amazing on paper, but you could never actually build them because they defy the laws of physics.
So another red flag.
Yeah.
The AI seems to be, like, prioritizing this theoretical elegance over, like, real-world feasibility. So are we thinking that maybe we should hold off on building that banana peel spaceship just yet?
Well, let's not jump to conclusions just yet, but Cheatham and Seshadri did have one final test up their sleeve.
All right, lay it on me. What was the final test?
So they got their hands on this massive database of AI predictions called the Stable Structure Database. They randomly selected 10 compounds, just 10.
10 compounds out of millions, like finding a needle in a haystack?
Right. But they wanted to be thorough, really put it to the test. So they took those 10 compounds and put them under the microscope, so to speak, analyzed the structures, the properties, all of it.
Okay, and did any of them pass the test? Like, were any of these 10 recipes actually groundbreaking?
Well, here's the thing. Every single one of those 10 compounds, it turned out to be either a known structure or just a variation on something we've already seen.
So the AI struck out. Like going to a concert expecting to hear this brand new symphony, and you end up getting, like, a medley of greatest hits.
It's a good analogy. The AI, at least in its current form, seems to be better at remixing than composing something truly original.
So we've got these potentially overhyped variations. We've got chemically questionable combinations, this obsession with order, a love for improbable architecture, and a knack for reinventing the wheel. So should we just unplug the AI, scrap all these recipes, and stick with our old, reliable materials?
Well, that's where it gets interesting, because while this research definitely highlights some real limitations with AI and material science, it's not necessarily a reason to hit the panic button. It's still early days.
Okay, so what's the missing ingredient then? What does the AI need to go from, like, sous chef to master chef in this world of materials?
I think it comes down to guidance, collaboration. We need to integrate AI with, like, the chemical knowledge we already have, teach it the rules of the game, so to speak. And just as importantly, we need to guide it towards those real-world applications, you know? Steer it away from this, like, theoretical elegance and towards, like, practical solutions.
So combining the AI's brute force processing power with the intuition and experience, and let's face it, the common sense of actual human scientists.
Exactly. The future of material science isn't about replacing humans with AI. It's about the two working together.
That's a great point to end on, I think. This has been an incredible deep dive, and I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this, like, rapidly evolving field. But as always, I want to leave you with something to ponder, a question to maybe spark some further exploration. If you were designing the next generation of AI from material science, what lessons would you take from all this? What would you do differently? What's the secret sauce to create an AI that can truly revolutionize the materials we use to build our world? Think about it, and until next time, happy exploring.